Hello YouTubers, and welcome to the final video in Chapter 2 Vocabulary. In this video we'll look at a couple of different things. One of them has to do with the society in classical China, and we're going to look at the social group mean people. And finally we'll take a look at the Silk Road, which is an economic feature of the Han Dynasty. So let us begin. The mean people were the lowest social group in Chinese society. So we had three basic social groups in classical Chinese society. The top group, which held the most power at the very top, was the aristocrats, or the educated bureaucrats. And these are kind of the nobles who made decisions and were well educated and therefore most highly respected. Next came the middle class, the working classes, which is most of the people in China. These are laborers or skilled farmers or people who were working, basically. So the working class, or the middle class, which is nothing like the middle class which we would think of today, because most of these people were not from a lot of money. And then finally, on the very kind of the bottom level here, was the the mean people, and the mean people would what we would think of as almost outcasts, but not quite. They still served a role in society, but mean people, and they're not named so for their disposition. They weren't angry, or they weren't not nice. Sounds like a disaster out there. But they were called mean people just because they were lower in social standing than everyone else in Chinese society. And this included people who were unskilled laborers. They would do jobs that were completely and totally undesirable for anybody else to do. But they were somewhat necessary in Chinese society because someone has to get these jobs done. Interestingly, though, and Chinese society is kind of unique in this aspect. This included people who were artists, performing artists, and others, because China didn't necessarily see their skills as necessary for the survival of China. And so mean people was a group that included not just unskilled labor, but also actors and artists of other varieties, which kind of takes us into the next word, which is the Silk Road. The Silk Road is the trade network which was set up that connected China, and most notably connected China's silk, to markets in India and Asia, and even as far as the Mediterranean empires, because the silk that China made was far superior and was a product that everybody kind of longed for. So how does this relate to mean people? One of the things that Chinese society kind of put a value on was anybody who could develop technology, or who was educated, who expanded the government, but they did not put a huge value on merchants. In fact, merchants would be kind of right down there with mean people as far as their social standing. Because in reality, all merchants do is trade goods back and forth. They don't make the goods. They just buy and sell at a profit. And so their worth to society is not as much as, say, a farmer who actually produces something. A merchant then would take those goods and sell them and try to get as high a profit as they can. So China didn't necessarily think of merchant activity as a desirable thing. And this continues on until later. And if you think about it, merchant activity and people who buy and sell things and make as much money as they can, that's basically what capitalism is, attempting to compete with other merchants and sell your most desirable products to the people. And China today is very, well, traditionally is very anti-capitalist, which is after the communist revolution and the fact that the communist government still has power. It's kind of evidence of their scorn for merchant activity. So the Silk Road connected China with the rest of the world, so to speak, and their higher quality of goods were traded along this network of roads. Again, China didn't send people out and travel all the way to these areas, but these networks developed, these early networks developed, which included overland routes all the way to the Mediterranean, and then also some interest in sea routes, which would later become the Indian Ocean trading network, which would develop as people started to develop better and more useful boats, because boats are what you use to float on water, and boats are cool. You are also cool, so don't forget to be awesome, and I will see you later. I really need to come up with a better sign-off line. If anybody comes up with anything good, please let me know. Okay, be awesome.